Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to look at some more E4 error cards. Starting out with Reggie Gigagod, who has this Gold Star Charizard. My mind was absolutely blown when I saw this. At first I thought it was English as well. It seems like different languages have different defects. Probably if they're printed at a different time or if they're printed in a different location, that would have a lot to do with it. But still, nonetheless, you don't often see gold stars that are messed up like this. And these two probably being on the same sheet or in around the same time to end up messed up that same way. Pretty wild. I don't know if the gold stars were the same pull rate. I'm assuming this must be German. If they were printed the same way and the same pull rate. But if so, something like 1 in 3 boxes for certain sets. Again, it might be different for that particular set there with the Charizard, Deoxys. We have a Charmander E-Series that is miscut. And yeah, you definitely don't see those very often. And this one almost trimming off the scannable portion, which is neat. Next up, we have a Blastoise, and there was a conversation on this. This is almost definitely 100% sun faded. This is the same kind of look that you get. You lose your yellow, you lose your red, and you just end up with blue and black. If you kept going, if you left this in the sun, you'd end up with nothing but the black lines. And that would take quite a while, but that's kind of how it works. The colors fade out one at a time. So you end up with this this kind of blue ghost-looking Blastoise if you leave it in a window or something. Same thing goes here. Stagecoach is giving us the example with the Mew. You see here we lose our purple turns to blue, so we lose our red. We lose next we'd lose our yellow, and then eventually lose the blue as well. I don't know how long it would actually take to lose the black. Probably quite a while, since it's I don't think I've ever seen anything that was sun bleached so hard that the black lines came off of it. So here we go, another example. Apparently LOF 102 replicated this and made the blue Mew by putting it in sunlight. So 1337 Elite Boy says he also has an Ammonite. So I think in a previous episode we've covered this. And apparently another one exists, very similar. Not quite the same smudge, but very similar. Hickey of sorts right there. M-Kriz shows us a Kangaskhan with what seems like a double foil layer. This is kind of neat. You don't see these very often, but as we'll see later, apparently it's happened more than once. I would imagine that this is something that happened on the foil layer before even the cards were printed. I would imagine that the foil comes pre-stamped by the company that makes that and supplies it to the print facilities. So I would imagine that maybe this went through twice, and that's why you have this slightly offset double print on the hollow pattern here. The Fierce Storm shows us a very cool set of energies and a Lapras. So I would assume that this came from a theme deck. If it's got the Lapras and the energy in there at once, probably some kind of water fire theme deck. I'm sure we could look that up. Jetpack Pikachu shows us a Gardevoir that has some weird things going on with the text and the name here. So I don't know if the ink wasn't adhering properly, but some kind of weird kind of freckling going on in the name and the HP, and then also a Wartortle that evolves from Wartortle. Very cool, and something I like this era because it's something that you would almost exclusively see similar errors or similar mistakes made by counterfeit cards, but in this case it's a real card, it's a real error. McCriz Has a Slowking with the back off center. And I'd say more often than not, usually the front and the back centering is pretty close. So if you have something that's off, that's cut wrong, usually it's both in a similar way. In this case, very messed up. So I don't know if he has this upside down, or if it's upside down. Maybe it's upside down and that's why the back was printed upside down. And that's why it's off center. That might be the case if he flipped it over and he didn't actually turn it upside down to show the back. That might make sense. The misprint lady says, I'm currently trying to figure out if this is a genuine error and a seen error before. Pikachu smiley. It looks like a slice of Meowth is magenta rather than yellow. But if it was sun faded, surely the magenta would be white. Rather, it looks like the yellow layer just hasn't been printed. But what do we think? Thanks so much. So here, this gets into weird territories where there could have been something sitting on top of it. And the sun got to it, but it only got to it in certain areas. Or even if there was someone that was being scummy, they could mask it off with tape or whatever, painter's tape. And you'd end up with certain areas having color and not having color. So, I don't know. I'm not sure here. Also, the fact that it's like a really old card probably helps its case, but don't know. I would say very cool if you pulled it. If you didn't, there's some doubt involved. Mcriz shows that he ran into a Hitmonchan with that same double hollow pattern. Seems like it belongs to Pokeriz. Very cool to see another. So they are out there. It's probably something to do with certain sheets getting messed up. This one looks like it's offset in a different way. But probably the same situation where the people making the foil layer printed the pattern on it twice. Here, Cinnamon Bun shows us a Haunter. And this one, unless you pulled this yourself, or someone pulled it on camera from like a fresh box or something, this is where it gets into like if someone just took some pinstripe here and masked off this part of the card and left this in the sun long enough, you'd get this white Haunter because the black layer is going to be the last one that goes. So I'd be weary of this, and you know, if you're shopping, just for errors in general, just be careful. I don't know if he says. Oh, it came in today, so hopefully it wasn't too expensive. I mean, it might be real, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that do weird stuff with acetone or sunlight and everything else, and try to claim that it's a sweet 420 error. Card Stockpile has a Mew here, and it seems to be the theme where sun bleach and everything. This one looks like it wasn't intentional. I would say. I think. This was pointed out in the thread, but it looks like there was other cards stacked on top of it, and so the sunlight only hit this side of the card and faded not only the border but the magenta inside here. Almost certainly sunlight once again. Kahashi here has the no symbol Flareon. I love these no symbol cards, especially the fact that I have them all now. It just feels really good to have the whole set. That was part of my trade when I got my first edition base. Charizard as well. Pretty awesome. I don't know. I love the story behind this. The fact that it's reproduced, at least to the extent that it's obtainable. And also the fact that you always hear stories about people as kids thinking that these were base set cards, but then they were confused why it didn't have at a 102 at the bottom, because there's no symbol here, so they didn't realize it was from Jungle. And as a kid, stuff like that is exciting, and it's cool to look back. It's like the story of the Mew under the truck and everything else. You just remember that those crazy rumors and crazy things that you can't understand or don't understand because the history wasn't really there yet. Reggie is going to show us an Electrode, no symbol, and also miscut like crazy. Very cool. Very fat on the left side. U14 has some miscuts here from recent times. Darkness Ablaze, and apparently some smears. I don't really see this. Oh, okay. I guess we got some weird discoloration here. Modern, with the rush that they've been under, seems to be a lot of weird stuff going on. These are really cool because when they're off-center enough to see the text at the top, and I pulled some of these, and also some that went a little bit farther than that, and you can see the next card. Very cool, but yeah, the text that's supposed to be at the bottom is up at the top there, which is pretty neat. We have British Bidoof Corporation is going to show us a light Arcanine. Depends on your mileage with Hollow Bleed as an error, but I picked up this beauty today. Hard to capture on camera, but the bleed is throughout Arcanine's body. The shine in the eye pops like crazy though. So Arcanine here trying to do his best Metazoo reverse impression. So the bleed isn't super crazy, but it's there. You can see it. And to what extent, I guess, including this one. Go to Charizard. I thought at first he was pointing out that he had the 4 dots with the 5th dot here on the side, but it's that the Charizard has a shiny belly. He was eating fireflies or something. And I mean, if you look for Hollow Bleed, I don't know if in E series it's as common, but there's certain sets where Hollow Bleed is just everywhere. Deleted Member, it says just a miscut, really really cool though. So we got Magearna and it looks like Steam Siege. So probably a Gardevoir or a Mega Gardevoir on the left side of this. That's trimmed off that we can see a piece of. It's kind of cool. Be nice to have the next card over. Usually would be packaged in with product that came from the same case or whatever. So, or even the same booster box sometimes. M. Chris says the Matrix Vaporeon, it is designated as an error by CGC. Additional ink. I mean, I'm pretty sure everything in existence is classified as a CGC error. If you ask them, at least most of the time. It does look like there's extra ink here, extra yellow. And I don't know what's going on exactly with, there's almost like a screen door effect. I don't know if that's just the image or if that's actually on there. You have to see some more pictures of it. Interesting nonetheless. Weird that he didn't show the label. Niche has a couple Generations cards, and here's a prime example of something that is extremely common. I got Generations, and there's Hollow Bleed throughout the whole card. That's that like mirror type hollow with the waves that you can kind of see here that'll make lines depending on when you flex it back and forth in the light. But extremely common to have it bleed through the entire card. Not always, but certainly something that is more prevalent than other sets. Super Saiyan Ampharos has a... Okay, here's a good example of what I don't know if you'd really designate this as an error. I mean, it's in the error thread. We can accept it as an error, but I would say it's pretty mild in terms of getting an error label. To have a little red here down at the bottom. Although it does look like he has a few of them that match, so I guess at that point maybe in threes. What's the saying in threes? That it's a pattern. Printer Hickey. That's an interesting designation. Cinnamon Bun has a Charizard, but it's got the upside down shifted back. Very cool. I like that. So yeah, that might answer a question from the other one. It looks like it's a similar shift. And the off-centering on the back would be largely due to the fact that the back was upside down when the front was printed on it. Very cool. Very cool. Especially on a Charizard. I would imagine that that would demand quite a premium. It's too bad that the Charizard on the front isn't shifted like this, but what can you do? And Swalpoke, to finish it off, has a Charizard that's missing one of the black layers. So you see it's kind of like a grayed out text here. Normally there's 2 layers of black on to make it nice and punchy. but in this case it does not have it. And I think he says missing. Yeah, unfortunately CGC wouldn't acknowledge it. I guess that doesn't count, but print your hickeys all day. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.